What is up, guys? My name is Corey. Welcome back to a brand new video, and numbers are really good for views. We are reaching at about 150 so views for the month. That's absolutely fantastic, guys. Thank you all for watching. I know 150 views a month isn't that great, but for my channel, it is fantastic. I know for a fact those views came from my PAX East videos, but I mean, hey, views are views. Just so you guys know, also, I do apologize for the noises in the background. My cats are in here and they are trying to catch a fly, and it's annoying. They costed me a Fortnite win today, so yeah, I'm kind of mad at them right now. But today's video, I haven't done a video like this before. It's gonna be interesting. I haven't done a storytime video on this channel before, and I think it's time for one. Now, I'm not a very interesting person. Not a lot of weird or interesting things happen to me, but I do have some decent experiences. But this one is kind of, it was really my first job. I was employed by the company, but like it was seasonal, and I only did it once. And this was probably one of the coolest jobs I've had. I say it was really cool because it was like an acting type job. Now, I can't really say like what it was because there was a lot of different things, but I'm just gonna call it a haunted house, just so I could kind of keep it simple, even though I did like a good majority of the time I was in a haunted house. But right near my house, there was this like haunted area type thing. This wasn't actually haunted, obviously, but it was like one of those haunted houses, but it had like a bunch of other stuff in there, and I worked there. Actually, it was a seasonal job, and it was my first and I got this job when I was just 15 years old. 15 years old was an incredibly young age for me to actually start working. This wasn't a job that was hourly. We just kind of got paid. But what happened on my first night, I handed in all my paperwork, my social security number, my phone number, and just all the paper that I needed. My first ever night. Actually, first. The question of the video is, was it worth it? And it was worth it, but at the beginning it wasn't. I will explain that why now. And so the first, it wasn't worth it at first because I had a really dumb role. My first ever role was I was a soldier. I was a ghost soldier that would shoot at people. I stood up on top of this giant bunker, this giant tower. I wouldn't say bunker, but it was a tower. I would sit there, and it was freezing outside, and even with I had long johns on, I had layers on, it was still freezing cold because I was standing in that one spot all night, and it was awful. And after a while it got really boring because not a lot of people were going through. But what would happen was I would get my cue, which would be obviously screaming people. The person before me actually had lines that they would speak. So when they spoke their lines to the people and they screamed, that's when I would get ready and I would shoot at them. Obviously, I didn't shoot at them. It was a gun, but it just kind of fired off like a flashlight. So it flashed, and a giant gun sound occurs. Obviously, I scared a lot of people, but it wasn't that fun, to be honest. I just kind of stood there and just shot at people. I mean, it wasn't anything interesting whatsoever. Come my second day, I walk in and I'm like, I'm not doing the soldier one anymore. And there was actually a new guy that did the soldier thing. I was then later put into the haunted house. Now, the haunted house is probably where I spent most of my time working here. I spent most of the time in that haunted house. I had two friends in the haunted house with me, and it was so much fun. I was a prisoner, so they would enter the house. We would get our cues from, when people enter, there would be a person at the door. They would give us our cues, and they would also kind of spook up the people going through. She would say their lines. We would all get into our positions. I was a prisoner. I would hide, I would have my cage right here, and I would hide in the darkness, right next to the door. The person before me was a ghost. It wasn't a pop-up thing, but it was just a bunch of curtains, and my friend that was a ghost just kind of walked through the curtains and just kind of led them to where I went. Yeah, I was right in the corner, so she would go here, she would go first, and then I would be in a separate room, and then my other friend would be in another room, but he had his own lab. He was a doctor. So as they were going to enter the room where my friend the doctor was, I would shake on the cage and I would scream as loud as I possibly can. That scared a lot of people. It was so much fun to do that. When I was dead, we would all just hang out at my section, and we would all just talk. We would just talk, and then as soon as our queue went off, we got in our spots and we scared people. The last part was probably the most extreme part, because this was probably, like, I can't really say that it was the most fun part, but it was a lot of fun, mainly because I got to run around. I kind of got to do what I wanted, to be honest. I was a maze runner. Now, we had this maze, and all we did was chase people. We would wear these ridiculous, really scary costumes, and we would chase people around the maze. Now, this was probably, like, costume-wise, this was my favorite, because I wore a black cloak, and I would have the hood up, but I would have a white mask over my face, so I looked really creepy. Like, it was like The Purge. We had this giant maze. Obviously, after a while, we knew the whole maze, so, like, we wouldn't get lost. What would happen was, at a certain point in the maze, we had revolving, like, not necessarily revolving doors, but sliding doors. People would enter one section, and then the doors would shut. They would be trapped in that section. Obviously, it wasn't like a small section. It was like a decent section that they could walk through, but they didn't know that they were locked in until they tried going back once someone scared them. Someone would chase them to the entrance, but the entrance would be gone, so they would think that they're trapped. It was just a lot of fun, because we got to do what we wanted. We kind of got to dress up what we wanted. The guy who actually built the maze was he was like a zombie. He actually ended up being able to climb on top of the maze, and he just kind of jumped all around the thing. It was so much fun. Now, for the final weekend, I ended up being a zombie at a graveyard. I could say that it had almost just as much freedom as the maze did, but it wasn't as fun, mainly because I couldn't run. Well, I mean, I could run if I wanted to, but it wasn't like the space was not as exciting. Like, I loved the maze, but the maze was a lot more dangerous than the graveyard. But the graveyard, it was a lot more open, but there was also places where you could hide. Like, they had a lot of coffins that we would hide into. We were just like a bunch of zombies just running around. For the maze and the graveyard, there were no queues. They just kind of let people in, and we would just kind of scare people as, you know, people would walk through. And normally, like, I would hide in a coffin. Like we didn't have to do this, but I kind of set myself a couple of different locations that I could go to so I can scare people the most. So I would hide in one coffin, and then, like, after a couple more runs, I will go into another coffin to kind of mix things up a bit. I remember I chased these guys. Like, a group of guys came in. I chased them out of the entire, like, trail. Like, it was like the graveyard was just a small trail. I ended up chasing them, like, out of it. Like, they came in, I came up behind them, I started chasing them, and I started chasing them until they got to the end. It was a lot of fun. That kind of concludes the story. It was definitely worth it. I didn't get paid a whole lot, to be honest. For, like, about 2 months of work, I think I got, like, $600, which, I mean, to me, at the time, it was a lot of money, but, like, now, it wasn't really all that much, but, I mean, I was still happy. I had money. I put it all away for a car. It was definitely worth the time that I put into, you know, it was a lot of fun. The fun ended. That was my only year that I did it. I wanted to do it last year, but unfortunately I couldn't. But it was, I highly recommend it if for one, if you're into acting, and two, if you're definitely into horror, you can definitely dress up as something and scare people. It was an absolute blast. So I hope you all liked the video. Please smash that like button. Please comment down below if you guys have any suggestions for other videos. If you guys like my content, please subscribe. It would mean so much to me if you subscribed to my channel. Help me grow, and I will start giving shout outs to people who subscribe to me. So yeah, see ya.